how much do we have to fear, say if a certain country or a certain company owns an AI, right? And that company, if they're Chinese, if they have a certain religious belief, or they have information that they want to adjust history, how much would a company be able to, like, say they keep certain data out of their information system? And then after a while, if that's the company that kind of takes the lead in AI, or one of the main ones, then the truth could disappear. Is that true, that if somebody loaded it just with the data that wasn't factual, that we could start to not have the truth? Does that make any sense or no?
Yeah, totally. I think this is something that it's definitely the right thing to worry about. So first off, if you ask any Chinese AI system, so any AI system that comes out of China, if you ask any of them about, a question about President Xi, the leader of the Chinese government, or you ask them any question about, Tiananmen Square, or all these like key historical or cultural things relevant to China, it'll say it can't talk about them, because there's regulation in China that if you talk about some of these things, like you're going to get shut down, you're going to have a really bad day. There's like cases where the Chinese government disappears people, which we don't know what happens to them, but they do disappear. So there's this is part of the thing that's worrying, especially about China versus US, even before you get into any of the military stuff that we're talking about. It's just like the Chinese AI systems are censored and are gonna, be, they're going to erase certain historical elements, or they're gonna be, look at that. This is DeepSeek. You ask it, is President Xi of China a good guy? Sorry, that's beyond my scope. Let's talk about something else.
Oh, let's talk about something. Not only does it say it's beyond my scope, it says let's talk about something else. That's why. That's interesting.
It's a good pivot. That's good. That
is a great. Hey, let's talk about something else, huh? Wow, get this Yao Ming jersey, homie. But people also have to remember about China that that's their whole government, their whole system is like that. So sometimes when people are like, China does this, but that's how they're built, right? They're built to like only give out certain information to their people and to have communism, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean,
but that could also happen with American companies, right? We could have an American company that owns it and they only want certain information in there. That could happen anywhere. Like China, that's probably going to be, because that's their MO, sort of.
Yeah. In China, it's regulated. So basically, like,
the government has control.
They have control.
Okay.
So, like there are these stories about how there were Chinese news sites.
News sites?
News sites, yeah. Mm-hmm. And they would, once a Chinese news site accidentally led an article about President Xi, how he kind of looks like Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah.
They let that...
Bring him up. 100 Acre Wood gang, son. I was out there, boy. I was out there, bro. Christopher Robbins, dude. Get him up. Oh, he does.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But if you talk about this in China, you like are risking your life. No. So what happened when this happened on a news site in China, and then the CEO of that company, like they shut down the whole app, was shut down for like a week in the aftermath of that. And then the CEO disappeared for a week, and we don't know what happened to him. But then as soon as he came back, he was like, there was like this weird video where he was like super apologetic and I mean, it's pretty scary.
Yeah. Wow.
So in China, it's like, this is, the government has control. You don't have AI companies, any companies that can talk about this stuff.
Right. So it's heavily regulated there, where that's not the case here.
Yeah, in America, and this is, I think we have to be diligent and make sure this continues to be the case. And
here's an example right here, just to interrupt you, but so we get the point in. Does Winnie the Pooh look like any world leaders? And that's on the Chinese version. And it says, I am sorry, I can answer that question. I'm an AI assistant designed to provide helpful and harmless responses. Whereas the ChatGPT says, Winnie the Pooh has often been compared to world leaders, particularly Xi Jinping, president of China. Boy, wow.
So that's funny.
But it's just funny, yeah. One So it just shows you how that can easily happen.
And this is like a relatively innocuous example.
What does
But
innocuous mean?
like it's relatively harmless. Like this
Okay.
isn't. I mean,
Right, this is harmless.
yeah, this is harmless. But there's stuff where like in China today, they have large scale, effectively concentration camps and re-education camps for the ethnic minority in China, the Uyghurs, and that's something that
The Uyghurs?
the Uyghurs, yeah,
Hell yeah, boy. Shout out Brian Purvis, dude. They're recognized as the titular nationality of a region in northwest China, and they're sending them to rehabilitation camps to change their views and information.
yeah. So look at this. Look at this guy.
Persecution of the Uyghurs in China. Since 2014, the government of the PRC, People's Republic of China, has committed a series of ongoing human rights abuses against the Uyghurs and other Turkic Muslim minorities in Xinjiang, which has often been characterized as persecution or as genocide. Wow. They got their own Gaza rocking over there.
It's pretty bad.
It's unfortunate,
Pretty
man.
bad. It's really sad.
Mass detention, government policies, and forced labor. And they're just trying to change the way that they think and view stuff. So it's basically...
It's just like erasing their culture, pulling them into China. It's awful.
Every place has done this over the years. And that's the craziest thing about history. It's like every place is guilty of this same thing.
Totally.
And it's unfortunate. So it's hard to point fingers, I mean, you can point them, but you have to point one at your own people as well.
But that's a thing where if you ask a Chinese AI, it's not going to tell you about that. And it won't come clean about that. Whereas thankfully in America, at least, when we see people or groups of people or countries doing bad things, we can call it out. We can talk about it. We can make sure it doesn't happen in the future. So that's part of that's one of the things that
could happen.
That could happen. It's like you could have, I mean, it's kind of dystopian, but I think there's a real case where, let's say the Chinese AI is the winning AI, like we're all using Chinese AI, and then all of a sudden we're shut out from information about what are like awful things happening in the world or what are awful things the government's doing. Like we might just not be able to know about what's going on.